Hi, I'm Mickey. This is Thomas, and this is the Nostalgia Effect. Today I'll be looking at some of these.
You can make them fly or jump or crash your wall. Superhero action figures over 7 inches tall.
Each sold separately.
Superman, Batman, Incredible Hulk. You can make them do their thing. Even make Spider-Man slide down a string. Lots of action for one and all. Action figures over 7 inches tall.
These superhero action figures each sold separately. Batman, Superman, Incredible Hulk, and Spider-Man, each sold separately by Mego.
Mego figures. Do you remember them? Because I certainly don't. They were really big in the 1970s, kind of before my time. You might be sitting there going, I know that, but I don't know where from. Do you happen to watch or have you ever seen Robot Chicken? They're the figures that seem to be most commonly used, probably because of their amazing interchangeable heads, clothes, and the just awesome articulation of these old figures. Mego Corporation was founded by David Abrams in the 1950s. It was just this really small little family company making cheap dime store toys. They made these figures for years and years and years until, under the direction of David's son Martin, they began purchasing licensing rights to loads of TV shows and movies and characters like DC, Marvel, Planet of the Apes, Happy Days, Wizard of Oz, and Star Trek, as well as loads of others like Dukes of Hazzard and crap like that. Did you know? The name Mego actually came from conversations that David Abrams would have with his other son, Howie. Every time the family were preparing to leave the house, Howie would be like, Mego! Mego too! Mego! Right? Huzzah! How simple, yet fantastic. Trivia, son! Like I said, the figures became so big and so famous partly because of the names that they had, DC, Marvel, TV shows, movies, everything like that, but also partly because of the articulation and the changeable clothes and everything. It was something that you could customize and you could make your own toy, and they weren't just like, put a gun in, oh, the gun fell out. They were really amazing for their time. I don't have any Mego figures because, like I said, they were kind of before my time. What I do have is some of these. These are figures from Marvel's famous covers, as you can see from the thing that says famous cover. Thank you for being descriptive. And they released, I think, about 40. I might be completely wrong in guessing, but, I don't care. They were made to try and recreate the awesomeness that was Mego, I suppose, for the next generation. Though not many people seem to have heard of them, and it's hard to find information on them. I personally can't compare them to the Mego figures because I've never, actually held a Mego. These are 9 inches, the Mego figures are 8 inches. They say 8-inch figure, but of course they are 9 inches and there's a really dark hair in there. It's probably mine. But they do have a lot of lovable faults that make them feel kind of old and awesome. For example, here we have Daredevil. And as you can see, the double D's, oh, he's got double D's. Anyway, they're backwards. They're meant to be up the other way. And of course, as you may have noticed, his gloves are more like just oven mitts or plasticky. Like he's got an actual fist over there, a nice fist with a good articulation. He can fist pump. He could be on Jersey Shore. Anyway, so Tom, didn't Mego do really, really well in the 70s, and everyone just thought that they would continue living on as massive, giants in the 80s as well. But what happened? What happened? Oh no, it was the release of Star Wars. I mean, Star Wars is great, but it was just the end for Mego. Since Mego were the biggest name in toys, of course they were the first people to be approached and offered the, job and the joy of creating a line of toys for the 1977 film. However, because it was this new sci-fi film and they thought it's not going to work out, so Mego turned them down. And so the deal went to Kenner, which I'll actually fully explain when I review some Star Wars figures soon. Unfortunately for Mego, Star Wars was a massive success and Kenner became the #1 spot in toys because of this massive line of Star Wars figures they'd released. So Mego kind of realised their mistake, and instead of just sucking it up and continuing like usual, they pretty much jumped on the train to take the rights for any and every single possibly potential sci-fi movie. They produced 12.5-inch figures for Moonraker, Buck Rogers, some other show, and Star Trek, but none of them were a big success, so in 1982 Mego filed for bankruptcy and stopped producing toys, closed their doors, everyone cried a little bit. That was the end of it. Or was it? Today, Mego figures are worth hundreds to thousands of dollars, including the super rare red-headed Dracula/vampire. The reason it's got red hair is because they didn't want to, I think they didn't have the rights, and so they just made him red-headed to be like, it's not Dracula, it's our own vampire. Innocent. Same goes with the blue-haired Frankenstein. And they're still a lot better quality than a lot of today's toys. You'd think it'll be like all up and onwards and progress and stuff. I gotta feed my cat. They started this big thing where they bid and put in marshmallow.